Good morning, this is Mr. Riley, and I will be giving you a demonstration on the first activity, Activity 1, Install and Configure AWS CLI. So I've already started the lab, and now I'm not going to basically read all this to you, but what you're going to do is you're going to install CLI, AWS CLI, on a Red Hat instance in the cloud. They don't require you to do it on your own PC, and we're going to connect to an account and basically access some information and see if we can pull it out in CLI. So I've already launched it. So I am going to connect using PuTTY. If you don't have it on your home machine, you can download it here. So now I have PuTTY. And then here, also something you need to do is go to Details and click Show. And now you're going to have to download the PPK. Now, all of you should have taken at least one Amazon class before this, I hope. So this should not be new to you. So download the PPK. You're going to need this information too. So I copy this and I put it on Notepad. And for this first part, we are going to need the IP address for PuTTY. So I'm going to copy that, bring PuTTY back up, paste it in there, and then we're going to go to the connection, set the keep alive for 30, go to SSH, authentication, and go to credentials. Now under the private key for authentication, click browse. And I'm going to download my PPK I did. Now if you have a Mac, follow the directions for the Mac, okay? When you click open here, it'll come up and ask you if you accept that you're going to use this key for SSH, and you can go ahead and read the message there. And then you're going to log on as EC2-user, and this is what you should get. I'm going to go ahead and move down, slide this over to the side so you can see it. Okay, so I logged on as EC2-user. If you have a Mac, please follow these instructions. Okay, so now we're going to install Red Hat AWS CLI on Red Hat Linux. So first, I'll just leave it over here. And we're going to type in Python 3. Okay, and it shows I am running Python version 3.7. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and install the AWS CLI, and we're going to use but we have to install unzip first. So sudo yum install -y. That means say yes to everything. Unzip. So now I installed it. Now I'm just going to copy this command. I'm not going to type the whole thing. But this is actually two commands. So when I do this, it's going to run the first command. Then you'll have to hit enter to run the second command. You can now run that. Now, part of this, and I'm going to post it on Blackboard there, I want you to take screenshots of as you do these different tasks, and I'll put that up there for you to see. AWS help. Now, if you type this, you should be able to get like a man page up here. And here you go. The man pages for this. And you can go through and, research or, see how things are the usage. Now, to get out of this, just like any other man page, hit Q for quit, and it takes you out. Okay? or to exit. Okay, observe an IMA configuration details in the AWS Management Console, task 3. So what we're going to do is going to go ahead and click on AWS and open this up. It's going to open up in a new tab. We're going to go to IAM, Identity Access Management. And you'll notice some errors here where there's, access denied. Well, the instruction is going to tell you to go to users, and we only have one user, and that's AWS student. Click on that, and let's look at the permissions for this. Now, these are the permissions. The only permissions they have is to get and list information IMA. That's it. IMA get, IMA list. And they're allowing that. They can't change anything. Now, for this user, you click on security credentials, you will see their access key or access code. This is like their username. But you do not see their secret key. I'll bring this up. What you do is you see the same thing as this right here. But you don't see the secret key. The secret key can only be downloaded upon creation. So you basically would have to capture it then. Luckily, when this was created, they built the lab for us. They had it posted into that, details part where we were able to capture it. So you see the JSON code, choose credentials, and this is what that talks about, what I was just talking about. So going back to, I'm going to clear this up. I'm going to type in clear. Nice. Good workspace to work with here. And we're going to configure AWS. So configure AWS CLI to connect to your AWS account. AWS configure, and hit enter. And it's going to ask you for the access key. I'm going to go to my notepad, get my access key. Enter. Now it asks us for our secret key, and this is what they had captured for us. And it's going to ask you what region, and it's going to tell you US East 1. That's in the instructions. And that's what we're working in. And it's going to ask you for a default output. If you don't put anything, it'll use JSON, okay? So we just installed it. Now, let's watch how it works. Observe the IMA configuration details by using CLI. So we're going to do AWS IMA list users. And we have our one user, because if we look back at the console, you'll see users, we have one user. Okay. This is if it tests successful, you should see a JSON code, and this is JSON code. Structured response that lists all the IMA users. The results should match what you see in the console. And I showed you that. Now, you guys want to do a challenge here. So, this policy we had here, if we go to lab policies, I did not want to go to that. I just wanted to expand it. Okay, here we go. If we wanted to just capture that and put it like into a file on our Red Hat machine there, or our local machine, or whatever, this is what we're going to go ahead and try to do. So, first thing, we have to, everything in Amazon has an ARN, an Amazon resource number. It's like a social security number, or whatever you want to call it. So that we have to discover the one for this lab policy. So, how do we do that? Well, Not that. If we use the AWS list policies local scope, and click that, it will basically, and why we use local scope, just to let you know this, is that there's lots of policies on here, and we only want to see just the local ones. And so it shows the RoboMaker for students and the lab policy. So that's the lab policy we want to capture. So if you look in here, you will actually see the policy right there. Notice how it matches up here. So I'm going to capture that actually and put it in Notepad. And I don't need all of that. I just accidentally grabbed a little more than I wanted. I don't want the colons on there. So now we can use this command, get policy, and we replace the account number with this number. And make sure you remove the brackets there. And then we can run this. So what this does, AWS get policy, policy ARN, and it points to the correct one and lab policy. So, excellent, put that there. Run that, and we see the lab policy. Now, attachment count 1. That means we're running in default version. What's the version? Version 1. If we're on version 5, then we would change it to 5 for the next command. You need to see what the version is to see which one you want to capture. So, yeah. So AWS, and we're going to go ahead and run this command. Go back in a Notepad. And you see how we have version 1 on that, right? And we go ahead and copy the account number again and replace it. Then we run this command. Now, we can see the policy, but we didn't capture it. It shows it to us, and that's the actual policy by version. And you can see it's just like this right here. Policy version, document version, number, statement, action, all that. So say we want to capture this. Going back to our Linux commands, if you just rerun the same command, but then pipe it into lab underscore policy dot JSON. Now, if we do an ls command, we have that actual command. If we do a cat lab JSON policy, same thing. So that's how you can actually capture these policies, or from using CLI. So I hope this was helpful. I'll try to be doing this for every lab we have to help you through it. Okay. Have a good day.